Massage school does a really great job of giving you all the technical skills that you need to perform a good massage, but in general, most massage programs really fail on the professional development and business development side of things. And in particular, they don't really stress the kind of things that will help you to get a job when you're first out of school, or talk about the kind of things that will definitely prevent you from getting a job. As an employer who's seen thousands of resumes and interviewed hundreds of therapists and hired hundreds of therapists, I want to give you my top tips to help you land the job when you're out of school. So let's go over the process of landing a job as a massage therapist, right? The first thing you need to do is search for a job or hear about a job. You're either going to go on a job board at your school, or you're going to look at a job search site like Indeed, and you're going to look through and provide them with a resume and cover letter. Getting your resume solid is a low-hanging fruit that is something that you should definitely get right. I have looked at thousands of them, and I have rejected most of them out of hand for typos, for grammatical errors, and for inconsistent formatting, or just not taking the effort. So the first tip that I have is find somebody who is a good writer in your life and ask them to proofread and help you prepare your resume. It really helps to have a second set of eyes looking at it, and you really want to spend that extra time to get it really solid. Okay, so once you've got your resume crafted and proofread, and you know there are not errors or typos or grammar errors, you want to make sure that there are some things that are answered if there are inconsistencies. So for instance, if you're fresh out of massage school, obviously you don't have a work history as a massage therapist. It's totally fine and normal to list your internships from school, and we want to see that you had some clinic hours and that you did some internships outside of school, which all massage programs will make you do. So definitely put those on your resume. But if you don't have anything beyond that, and you do have other work history, it is a really good idea to put 2 to 3 other jobs on there, just so that we can see as employers that you've had jobs before, that you know what it's like to be in the workplace, and that you're not like literally fresh, this is your first job ever in life. If it is, that's fine too, but just know that that might stick out, and we might have questions that make us wonder what else has been going on in your life. So then another tip beyond that is, if you have gaps in your work history for any reason at all, that's going to stick out for sure, and we're going to have questions about it. We may still be impressed enough by all the other things on your resume to want to talk to you, but we're certainly in a phone interview going to ask, hey, what happened to those 3 years that you don't have anything listed under your work history? And you just want to be prepared to answer that. Sometimes that helps if you can put in a little line in your resume that's like, took a sabbatical, or took care of my sick, ailing parent, or something to that effect, that just lets us know what happened during that time, so that we're not scratching our heads and wondering, because that will absolutely stick out. Now, the other thing is that you definitely want to at least have some sort of cover letter when you're applying for a job. It doesn't have to be a page long, it can be a few paragraphs, but a little bit about what it was about us, for instance, if you're applying to my studio, that attracted you to wanting to work for us beyond just, I need a job. Like, we want to see that you're interested specifically in working for us, and I guarantee you most other places are going to feel very similarly. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't get a look at it if you didn't have that, but it's certainly going to make you stick out if you mentioned, hey, I looked through your website, I like the work that you do, I really want to work for you and learn from your place. Those sorts of things are going to make your cover letter and resume stick out above the others and make us want to look at them and talk to you more. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. As a brand new massage therapist, you have 0 experience, right? I'm old enough to remember a commercial where it was like this employer talking to an interviewer going, well, you don't have any experience on your resume. And then going, well, how do I get experience? I need to get a job for that, right? And so the fact is, we're used to hiring people fresh out of school. You'll get a job with no experience. for, if you're decent and you nail the hands-on interview. But let's get real, right? Like, as a brand new graduate, no matter how much of a prodigy you may or may not be, you simply don't have the experience of somebody like me or somebody who's been in the field for 8 to 10 years. And so you only have a few real advantages that you can offer to a potential client, and then because those are advantages for potential clients, they're advantages for employers. And one of them is that you're available, right? Like me, I've been in the 17 years, I have worked on 6,000 plus bodies. I'm well worth a visit if you have a problem. The problem is that you can't get a session with me for 8 to 12 weeks, right? So I don't have availability, right? Which is one of the reasons that an employer would hire you, is that you can fill in a gap where they have demand for massage, but they can't fill it because they're booked solid all the time. So you need to be available. You need to be willing to work when people aren't working. So that means working nights and weekends in this field, because people get massage when they're not working, and most people still, even after the pandemic, work 9 to 5. So be willing to restructure your life for the first year to 2 years around working nights and weekends. If you do, you'll get a much more quicker rise in your clientele and your bookings and your consistency than you would ever get trying to work weekday mornings. Don't show up late. Don't, be consistent and reliable. That is literally the one thing that you can offer above and beyond more experienced people, is availability and reliability. So if you fall on either of those, if you're inconsistent, you call out sick the morning of too many times, or you ask for days off all the time because you've got this or that opportunity, clients aren't going to really want to settle in with you. They want somebody that they can consistently see regularly, who's available, in a consistent kind of way. And if you're unreliable that way, clients aren't going to like it, employers aren't going to like it, and you're not going to have a steady career. You're not really going to succeed in this industry. And so really be willing, if you want to get a job, because we're talking about tips to get a job, if you really want to get a job, really be willing to work nights and weekends, because you're going to be so much more attractive to massage therapy employers if you're willing to do that. All right, so for the interview, right? For most places, where you're going to at least see a couple stages of things. Let's say you got your resume together, you had a friend help proofread it, it's really solid, it's got good work history, we set up a phone interview, we talk to you, you're very personable and easy to talk to. So then we set up what's called a hands-on interview, and it's pretty consistent throughout the industry that you're going to have to give a practical. That will range from anywhere from a minimum of 20 minutes of working on somebody to up to a full hour, potentially, depending on the interviewee and the interviewer, right? I consistently ask people to come in and at least do 30 to 40 minutes of hands-on time at me, but I also say to them, if you're more comfortable doing a full 60-minute because you have a full sequence, that's fine too. But you're gonna want to have that 60 and 90-minute sequence that you've got really smooth, especially that 60-minute one, so that you can carve out pieces of that. And if an interviewer says, I want you to do a 30-minute massage on me, you can be like, okay, what should I focus on? Do you want back, neck, and shoulders? Do you want low back work? Do you want leg work? And be able to just do a 30-minute sequence out of your 60-minute full body sequence that is really smooth and solid and not fumbly. So if you have that base session to start from, you can pull pieces out of it and still impress an interviewer who might want to do a shorter hands-on interview. If you show up and you're really unsettled and you're really nervous and fumbly and not able to just give a decent back massage, neck massage, it's really unlikely that your employer is going to hire you, or your potential employer. So go practice that. Again, if you need to practice on friends and family until you have a sequence that you can repeat without trying to remember it or going and looking at your notes. That's worth spending the time for free to practice that so that you can consistently do that. And the last tip I would have to nail the interview and really get your first job. So you've got the resume together, you've applied for the job with a good cover letter, we've looked through all that, decided, yeah, this person has potential, we're gonna talk to them on the phone for 10 minutes, okay, person's easy to talk to, they seem friendly, great, let's bring you in for the hands-on interview. And you're gonna go through your hands-on interview and try to be smooth from working either that entire 60-minute base session or cutting pieces out of it and just doing 30 minutes. Be willing, and this is the last tip I have for you, be really willing to get constructive feedback from your interviewer and be totally open to it. And in fact, I often give feedback in the middle of the interview about how a therapist might improve their body mechanics or their pressure, or I might even teach techniques to them during the interview that would help the massage be better for me. And if a therapist is really willing to hear me out and learns quickly from the feedback that I'm giving them, that's actually a big plus mark in my view. I'd rather hire somebody who's willing to learn and really quickly learn something than somebody who's resistant to that or just wants to do their thing or isn't really willing to listen to feedback. I've been doing this 17 plus years. I'm considered to be one of the top people here in New York. And you know, I'm worth listening to, right, for this feedback. And so if you're fresh out of school or even 5 to 10 years into the field and you're unwilling or seem resistant or defensive when I give you constructive feedback, that's probably gonna be a red flag to me that you might not work well at our studio. And so that last tip is really important. Just be willing to take some feedback. And if you're getting feedback in the middle, don't assume that that means you're not going to get the job. Actually, the way you respond to the feedback might be the thing that lands you the job. So there you go. There's 5 tips that will totally help you nail the interview and land your first massage therapy job. If you want to work on some of the soft skills that are really helpful to help you rebook clients and actually build your clientele, we actually have a really great workbook called the Massage Therapist Rebooking Workbook that's available if you look at the link in the description below. So hopefully that helps you land your first job as a massage therapist, and we hope to see you succeed in this amazing field. Please like this video and subscribe, and if you like this one, we think you're gonna like this one too.